Big East women's basketball features the defending national champions, who also happen to bring back one of, if not the best player in the country and the greatest coach in the history of the sport. So obviously, you'd be hard-pressed to find any sane person who isn't picking the UConn Huskies to win the league for a sixth consecutive season. That's not debatable. But it also doesn't mean there isn't plenty to discuss ahead of the 25-26 season. So we've put together 5 bold predictions for the upcoming campaign, and we're literally going to hold court to hash it out. No, seriously, we've got a guy with a law degree serving as a judge and everything. It's Judgment Day as Women's Hoops is on the docket next on Big East Beat. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Big East Beat, our weekly Big East basketball debate show that's part of the Big East Energy Network. I'm Matt Janus, host of the Holy Nova podcast, alongside Bryan Webster of Pirate Vibes. There's another guy in the middle of the screen. We'll get to that in a second. Bryan, we've got a great show on tap. Not only are we about to make 5 proclamations about Big East women's basketball in 2026, but we're going to have to back those statements up, and our arguments will be judged. I feel kind of bad. This is like a road game for you, Bryan. I co-host a show twice a week with a guy in the middle of your screen, David White, who's a lawyer, and I get lectured by another attorney thrice a day. My lovely wife, Kylie Janus, is a partner at Faegre Drinker. You've got no chance, my friend. I've been preparing for this for years.
Yeah, I know I'm the underdog here, but just like all the women's programs in the Big East, right, outside of UConn. UConn's 1, and then we're trying to figure out who's 2. I'm gonna try to fight for 1, but we'll see where it goes.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I have been preparing for this for years, but I also am quite accustomed to losing debates to opposing counsel. Just ask my wife. I've never won an argument with her in 15 years of marriage. At least that's what she tells me all the time. Let's welcome in the man who will be keeping us honest in our Big East Women's Basketball Judgment Day. Judges are supposed to be honorable, and no one would use that term to describe David White, but he has a law degree. He works for Big East Energy Network as my co-host on Holy Nova, has always wanted to be a judge, and loves to tell people they're wrong. So he's got the gig. David, what are you doing here?
Hey. I'm just a neutral arbiter here to call balls and strikes. But Matt, you're already up 1 because you used the term thrice, and I love it. So we're good. We're good to go. Let's do it.
I've got some Latin that I'm ready to mix in a little bit as well for you. Legal.
Wait, I didn't come prepared with that. I didn't come prepared with Latin and all that.
Told you it's a road game.
Hold on, I'm representing myself.
All right, we were ready to get this started.
Yeah, let's go.
Oyez, oyez, all rise. The Honorable David White is presiding, and if it pleases the court, I will make our first bold statement. Bailiff, please show Exhibit A that you see now on the screen. I still can't fully believe that I am saying this, but I am. Your Honor, I submit to the court that the Connecticut Huskies will lose at least 2 Big East conference games this season. I pause for dramatic effect. Here's my case, and it's not all that complicated. UConn's still a force. I think they'll likely end up winning another national championship if we're being honest. But they lost the best player in the country. She went to the WNBA and immediately solidified herself as one of the best players in the world. Paige Bueckers is not someone you can just move on from. The person most people are thinking will be tasked to fill her void as the best player for the Huskies is just a sophomore. UConn is going to be a work in progress. Don't take my word for it. Hear the words of Azzi Fudd after UConn's first exhibition game of the season. Oh, we have a lot of work we still need to do. Right now, we are focused on winning the day. There's so many people on this team. It's really just figuring out who you're on the court with because there's so many different options. We need to build that chemistry. Again, that's end quote. Again, I have zero doubt they will. But we're talking about virtual perfection here if they're not going to lose twice in a season. I think there might be some speed bumps this year for a team that's got a lot of figuring out to do. I also think that there's finally some depth in the league this year. The second best team may not be as good, but I think the gap between 2 and 3 isn't nearly as sizable as it's been the last several seasons. And I think there's a lot of teams right there in the next tier behind UConn. So with all that in mind, I think 2 upsets is not only possible.
Counselor, you're going to be
probable
held
out of
in
20
contempt.
games.
There's an objection.
Man, come on. They have been undefeated for 3 years in the conference. You're talking the conference is going to catch up and beat them. They've dominated this conference ever since they came back. They've dominated the conference before they left, and outside of the little Notre Dame years, they're going to go undefeated in those 20 games. Can we agree with that? Like we're going to agree that they're going to go 20-0 in those games. So you're telling me they're going to lose 3 times in their non-conference? When's the last time that they were going to do that? When they're fully healthy. When they're fully healthy.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
when's the last time?
year? But I think the thing is, I'm taking it a step further. I think they're going to lose more than 2 times in conference, Brian. Or 2 times.
That's crazy. Like,
and then I think they will lose.
That is obscene statement. I love Seton Hall. I love Bozzella. I think Nova is very good, and we're going to argue other teams in a second. But to say that they're going to lose that many times in conference, I would love to know when was the last time they lost 3 games in conference.
No, 2. I think they're going to lose 2 times in conference.
Okay, I would like to know when the last time they lost twice in a conference season. I think you got to go back to COVID years, right?
Yeah,
you're talking a half a decade, just to lose twice in the conference. So
here's the thing, though. I do think that this is
be clear. They're going to go 20-0. Mark will love us, and they're going to go 20-0.
This is a prone UConn team early. I think that by the end of the year, they're probably going to be the best team in the country. I know you don't really start playing Big East games until mid-December. I think it is a better middle of the pack. In November. Yeah, I know it is a very weird exception, but you're going to play a lion's share of your roster or your conference schedule second half of the season. I think the biggest thing with what you're looking at with this particular UConn team is that their ceiling is just as high as it's ever been. I think their floor might not be quite as high. I think that there is room for speed bumps, and I think that there are teams finally with the athleticism and the shot-making ability to surprise them, and if they're not fully locked in, which is human nature, they've been able to win these games without being fully locked in the past. I don't necessarily know if you can do that 20 straight times this year, so I think there are bugaboos out there for them.
I just think Sarah Strong is that next great UConn player, the 4-year player that they dominated for 4 years. Outside of Paige being hurt, they dominated. Brianna Stewart, Maya Moore. I can go back and further and further and further, and I just think Sarah Strong is that one. But we'll get into that argument. I guess do we rest our case here?
I rest.
If everybody rests their case. Counselor Webster, I'm going to take you for your word that they're going to go 20-0 in the conference schedule. And I'm just not seeing 3 losses in the non-conference. Their toughest games, the majority of them are going to be on their home floor with the exception of at USC in December. So I think Counselor Webster takes this one.
All right. I kind of figured that was going to be a loss. That was an uphill battle for sure. No doubt about it. I understand that, but I think the rest of my case, it will grow in strength from here. Brian, I see the floor to you.
Case number 2, Georgetown should be a top 3 school. I did change the statement here with not guaranteeing that they're going to be a top 3 school. I think Georgetown should be considered to be a top 3 school. You've got a lot of the team coming back. Obviously, Coach Haney had a rough season last year after a pretty good first season. If you look at his collegiate history as a head coach, he goes from winning 11 games to winning 20 games, to winning 4 games, to winning 18 games. So he's ready for his bounce-back season. Yeah, if you watch him on his interview with T. Baker right here on the Big East Energy Network, I would suggest watching it. He talks about having outside dogs. He's bringing that defensive mentality, and I think that travels well in the conference, especially because I think we all agree 2 through 7 or 8 is kind of muddled up. You can make a case for any of them, really. The new transfer, Layla Jewett, Jatana Newick, I just find that their roster is better, and I think they can make a case for the top 3.
Okay, here's my thing. I think Georgetown will be better. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think Darnell Haney's the real deal in terms of the buy-in he gets from his players. I think that what they do defensively is impressive. You mentioned the mentality that he has built inside that program and how he has brought in newcomers that fit that mentality. And I think that is definitely the path that they should follow under his tutorship down at Georgetown. I think they're going to do some impressive things this year. They went 4-14 in conference last year. They finished 10th in the Big East. I know they had some injuries. I know they had a lot of things that went wrong early in the year that they never were able to kind of get out from underneath of. But to say they're going to go from 4-14 to top 3 in the conference is just too big a leap for me, even to be in the mix for top 3 in the conference. I think they will solidly be in the top half of the conference. I think they are locked in around a 5th or a 6th spot to me when you look at this Georgetown team. I do think Summer and India Davis are really good players. I think Kristen Clark is somebody that is going to give headaches to the Big East. And then you mentioned Layla Joy. That's not something to not pay attention to. That is a newcomer at point guard. That's going to take time to work in. Are they going to be able to score the ball easier than they did last year? Because too often, watching Georgetown play, it just looked like they made things more difficult than they needed to on the offensive end. There were no easy shots to be had. They were manufacturing everything. If they couldn't get out in transition, it became really ugly looking in half-court games. I know to a degree that's how they want to play. I just think it's really hard. There is virtually no margin for error if you're going to be a top 3 team playing that style, and I don't think this team is quite buttoned up enough yet to be a no margin for error style of team. I like them. I think they will take big strides forward. I think top 3 is just a little bit too far. I know T. Baker is really high on them. I know he totally disagrees, our women's basketball expert at the Big East Energy Network, and I agree with him that they will be better. I just have too many question marks about what they will be offensively to give them the benefit of the doubt that they can go from 10th to 3rd.
They don't leave the DMV area until the middle of December, just to let you know. So you talk about the new roster and getting used to it. They're taking bus rides to all their away games. Like there are no road trips really until they go to Wake Forest and then they start conference play. So I think they can get momentum going, and I think they should compete for a top 3 spot here in this conference.
I think the problem is once you get into the Big East play, they will require you to make some road trips, and I think that's where that offense will be challenged, and that's where the issues will start to arise. They weren't a great road team last year. That was one of their big problems. They will be better this year. I can see that point.
Most of their losses in February were 5 points or less, so all they got to do is a little bit better.
But that's where I come back to the no margin for error. When you play that style, you really leave yourself such little wiggle room. They will be improved offensively this year, but with the new pieces, I think they are going to have to take at least a little bit of a step back defensively. You can't imagine they'll play with that type of cohesion from the jump right away. And the growing pains, if you stumble a couple times in January, all of a sudden that path to the top 3 becomes that much harder. And again, margin for error, I just don't think they have built themselves enough yet.
I rest my case. I think you've said crazy statements all day. You said UConn was going to lose more than 2 conference games, and now
I said they were going to lose 2 conference games. Don't put words into my mouth.
If the conference is going to be that deep, then a team like Georgetown has to get better, right?
Like better, yes. Top 3, no. Your Honor?
As much as I think that the defense may be drunk claiming that UConn's going to lose more than 2 games, I'm going to change your topic here. You said should compete for top 3. I think they will compete for top 3 given how soft 2 through 7 in the Big East can be. But whether they'll be top 3 is where I'm going. And I have a soft spot in my heart for Georgetown. As somebody
I knew that was going to happen.
Who worked on the hilltop for 3 years. I love Coach Darnell Haney. And the non-conference schedule sets up well for them to gain confidence going into the conference.
I sense a but, Your Honor.
I think there's too much in that 2 through 7 range that I don't think they quite get there. Fortunately, I'm going to have to go with my co-host, Matt Janus, on this one.
That's a huge upset right there. Getting the win, getting Your Honor to go against Georgetown. You're done for, Webster. You're done.
Yeah, well, I think case 3. I got this is easy. Creighton, go ahead. You can go first.
Oh, this is your bold statement. You have at it.
Creighton's going to drop out of the top 5. Creighton is losing a ton this year. They were the 2 seed, obviously the only other team to make the NCAA tournament last year for the Big East. They significant roster turnover, losing key veterans after keeping that team together for a long time. A lot of their scorers, their shot makers that anchored the team in previous season, they're gone. The system that worked with experienced guards, those guards are gone. You talked about Villanova. I mean, Georgetown not having there's too much to overcome and too many newcomers. Like Creighton is the perfect example. They are not a defensive team. They've never been really a defensive team, tough, unlike Georgetown. So they're vulnerable in conference play. I just find that other Big East programs are ascending, like Georgetown, Nova, Seton Hall, Marquette. Obviously, a lot of people are picking them to be number 2. I just find that they're going to drop the most out of this bunch. And unlike where you're saying Georgetown's not going to be in the top 3, I just don't think Creighton's going to end up in the top 5. Do I think they can finish at 6 or 7? Sure, but I just don't think in the top 5. I just don't think their style is going to mesh that quickly. It took a while for Flannery to get to the top of the Big East, where it'll come second. So I just don't think he has enough time to turn it around.
Your Honor, I understand that I may have said the most bold thing of the night. We were charged with saying bold things. I get that you are quite skeptical of my credentials now in front of the court after what I predicted about UConn and how many times they might lose in Big East play. 2 again is what I was saying. 1 or 2, not more than 2. Please don't put words into my mouth, Counselor Webster. But I just think that Counselor Webster is guilty, Your Honor, of going a bridge too far over and over again so far in these arguments. And this is another prime example of that. Creighton is, I think, deserved of benefit of the doubt for what they have done in this conference over the last half decade. Jim Flannery has been there a couple decades now, and he just is such a good coach. I understand that I am prone to giving too much credence to coaches, and you have to have good players. You can't just rely completely on the intelligence and basketball IQ of the guy standing on the sideline. But Jim Flannery, while he lost a lot of experienced players and key contributors to that team that came in second a year ago and has been near the top of the Big East now for several seasons, he brings in 3 4-star freshmen that everybody in the Big East wanted to bring inside their program, except maybe UConn. I'll give you, they weren't on the top of Gino Oriema's recruiting list. He also brings back a couple of really savvy vets in Keani Lockett and Kennedy Townsend. They are not the type of team that is lacking in leadership. And they have a guy in Jim Flannery who understands how to retool and adjust on the fly. He talked openly all off season long about understanding this is going to be a different group. But he also said he thought this, where this group began talent-wise, is actually further along than where they were a season ago. He just thought the process to get to the end point was going to look a little bit different. But what I was really encouraged by and impressed by was how he mapped out the differences of how he was going to orchestrate his practices. They were going to do a little bit more individual work. They were going to do a little bit more competitive periods where instead of maintaining freshness and just making sure that your team is optimized and ready to go for games, they're going to have to work on things and tinker a little bit more in preseason and in the non-conference portion of the year to try to get his young players up to speed. They've dealt with some injuries in the offseason, which hasn't been ideal. But they have pieces in place. They have talent. Their system is great. And they have complete and total buy-in. The young players are eating out of the palms of Lockett Townsend's hands. They are locked into every word. They brought in a 6-year senior in Grace Buffelli from Northern Iowa. She's still working her way back from injury, but when she returns, she has a potential to be a big-time difference maker. When she was out last year at Northern Iowa, the Northern Iowa coaches loved her so much, they essentially made her an extra coach. They gave her the first word to her teammates every single time they came off the floor. She's a natural leader, high basketball IQ, plus a really good player. Talent's there, intangibles are there, shot making is there. Is it going to take some time? Yes, but that's what non-conference is for. By the time they get into Big East play, Are they going to be what they were last season? I don't think so. But that's a big drop from second to outside the top 5. To me, no way. Jim Flannery doesn't let that happen, and they've got too much talent for it to fall apart.
Please let the record show that Counselor Janus has made the counter argument with Shaka Smart on the men's side. I just where culture isn't going to translate to victories and success. Please let the record show.
Point of order, Your Honor. Yet again, Counselor Webster misinterprets my words and will lead you to believe that I don't have Marquette picked 4th in the regular season. My arguments about Shaka Smart have been
because he doesn't want to be a homer, Your Honor, and pick Villanova 4th yet.
Has not translated
that's the reason
into
why.
March.
Let's be real.
His culture has not translated into March, and his failures in March Madness, there's no reason to expect that to be any different, just like there's no reason to expect that a good coach like Jim Flannery with the talented pieces that he has in place at Creighton won't be able to figure it out and keep them inside the top 5 in the Big East this year.
I'm not saying they're going to collapse and be a bottom feeder. I'm just saying there's a very good chance that they are going to be outside of the top 5 because you got teams like Seton Hall, Villanova, Georgetown, Marquette, all right there. Plus, obviously, UConn's got the 1. It's very easy to see that Creighton, with all the scoring that they're losing, you can talk about the replacements and all that, but the teams that I just mentioned, Marquette, Seton Hall, Villanova, are bringing back a lot of players. So for them to lose, what's that?
I know this is a sports show, and I know that this is a legal proceeding inside of a sports show, so there's not supposed to be any math, but UConn's won. You named 4 teams. All Creighton has to do is finish over one of those other 4 teams to stay.
Well, I didn't even get to Georgetown. So
you mentioned Georgetown. You mentioned Georgetown.
Marquette, Seton Hall, Villanova. I just feel like they're going to fall. It is 4. You're right.
Hey.
You're right.
All right. First math question I got right in a long time. I rest on that one, Your Honor. I'm not going to get any better than that tonight.
Well, counselors, I appreciate your arguments. I'll disregard your argument against Marquette as facts not in the record.
It's on video, Your Honor.
Looking at the Creighton schedule, I think that their non-conference is a little more difficult than what I see out of Georgetown. And I love Jim Flannery, and I think that he is going to have his players ready to go maybe in January, February. I just see a lot of freshmen, and you never know what you're going to get with a freshman on the road. So I think Counselor Webster is going to take this one. I feel like Counselor Webster gets some favorable rulings here.
I would like a jury. I'd like to get judged by a jury of my peers. This is not working for me. That is a preposterous ruling, Your Honor.
Well, your peers would be a comment below. Leave a comment below, and there's a jury. If you get it, we'll correct it next week.
Creighton has all the talent, and I think that they will be a good team. I'm just not sure when those freshmen click and they're ready to go on the road and deal with a hostile environment. Jim Flannery is a great coach, but looking up and down the Big East, there are good coaches on a lot of sidelines that have more experience.
Then Jim Flannery have more experienced teams. All right,
more experience on the court.
Case number 4, Sarah Strong will be Big East Player of the Year. I rest my case. Just read the statement. It's the most obvious answer in the entire world, really. Sarah Strong might be the best player in the country, even as a sophomore. Like I said earlier in the show, this is the next grade for Gino. Gino said he's going to keep coaching until he stops coaching great players. Sarah Strong just extended his career by 4 years last year when he came on board. Sarah Strong, obviously, if this team goes undefeated like it was ruled a couple of cases ago, they're going to take a UConn player. They can't take anyone from any of the other teams because you got an undefeated team. Sarah Strong is the best player in the country, and without a doubt, it's going to be the Big East. It's really a simple argument. I can't wait for Counselor Janus's rebuttal.
Sarah Strong is a great player. No one is going to dispute that, and I completely agree with Counselor's assertion that UConn will have the Player of the Year in the Big East. I don't think that's a debatable fact either. I think there are some other talented players, but that's why all Big East exists. The Player of the Year will come from UConn. But I would also argue that UConn has another great player on the roster. Azzi Fudd is going to likely, in my opinion, at worst, going to be a top 3 WNBA draft pick. I think we can all agree on that. I think he will be the top overall pick in next year's WNBA draft. And I think that she is a senior. And if this is at all close, they are going to give the seniority clause. We see that in voting all the time. They're going to give the benefit of the doubt to the older player. Fudd had the best stats of the exhibition game. She had the best performance, you could argue, in the biggest moments.
We're talking about practice. I'm just saying,
I agree. I didn't like that argument. I actually, you know what? I will rescind that. But I still will point out the numbers from that exhibition game. 7 of 9 shooting, 5 of 7 from 3. The point is her jump shot is smooth. In practice, in games, wherever it may be, that jump shot's going down. There's nothing that's not smooth about Fudd's game. She probably is going to be the most fun player to watch in the country. There's a really good chance she's going to have the most impressive stats in the country when it's all said and done, because I think Sarah Strong is going to generate a lot of defensive attention. She's going to have some pratfalls that come upon her without Paige Bueckers to draw up so much of the attention. I think that's going to be a whole nother set of challenges for Strong that Fudd has lived through before because of all the injuries for Bueckers earlier in her career that Strong has never had to go through. I just have a feeling that you're going to see at the end of the day, this be close, but Fudd's numbers are going to be a little bit better. Fudd's going to be the presumptive number 1 pick in the next year's WNBA draft. We have seen what she can do in the biggest moments. That's where Fudd shines the best. And at the end of the day, if it's close, they are going to go to the upperclassmen, and that's why Fudd will win the award, and that's why Sarah Strong will not be the biggest player of the year this season.
Judge, I think we both made our cases. Azzi Fudd and Sarah Strong. You choose.
Between Azzi Fudd and Sarah Strong, 2 amazing players. I think Sarah Strong she's going to have a great year. She had a great year last year. There's no doubt about that. However, Azzi Fudd is a guard. And then this iteration of basketball, having the ball in your hands is the most important thing you can do. Azzi Fudd has played Robin to Paige Bueckers' Batman for so long, and I think she's ready to be the Dark Knight. I think Azzi Fudd is going to come out prepared. I think she's going to look great all year long, and I think Azzi Fudd ultimately wins Big East Player of the Year.
I honestly, out of the 5, I thought this was my lock. Honestly, I really thought this was my lock.
You didn't think the first one was a lock? Even I felt bad about saying that.
I think this one was easier because she's the best player in the country.
I only came up with the first one because you challenged me to be bold, and I didn't think there was anything bolder than that assertion.
All right, I also agree that if it's close, Azzi Fudd being a senior is going to be the tipping point. And it should be close.
I think next to me, she's going to get the tiebreaker. And I think at worst,
I think it's personality too.
Yeah, and the stats and leadership too. I mean, she is the unquestioned leader of that team. And intangibles, even though they shouldn't, it's not most valuable, but they do come into the fold in voting, especially when voting is done by coaches.
Well, and if Sarah Strong has a good year, which she will, Azzi Fudd is going to be getting her the ball. So her year is going to look good in assists as well.
Fair enough.
I don't need Jerry. I'm quite happy with the judge, actually. The judge.
The deciding one, case number 5.
Oh, this is right in my wheelhouse. I just spoke with Denise Dillon a couple of weeks ago. You can find that right here on the Big East Energy Network. She has had great success over the course of her Villanova career. Talk about how difficult it is to follow a legend. Denise Dillon has made it look easy, and she will get Villanova back to the NCAA tournament this year. I know they got off to a miserable start last year. I know there were points of the season where they looked completely lost as a program, and I wasn't sure, quite frankly, where they were going last season. And I think it was a little bit strange, and I actually asked Denise Dillon about this when we talked to her, how celebrated she was for just retaining a freshman. But that's what happens when you lose a player like Lucy Olson. Unexpectedly, the transfer portal 2 years ago, they were not prepared for that. They were literally just trying to figure things out on the fly. They brought in a bunch of grad transfers just to kind of to plug some holes and just get through the early part of the year. Then they dealt with some injuries. When they got their team in place, they did what Denise Dillon teams do. They executed. They were really crisp offensively. Yeah, they were prone to some shooting slumps, but they were able to win games, and they won highly competitive games. After a slow start in Big East play, they ended up with 11 conference victories. They go to the semifinals of the WBIT tournament, the new NIT on the women's side that they're running. And basically, they use that as kind of a launching point into this season. They brought back Jasmine Bosco. Jasmine Bosco is going to have a big sophomore season. We saw her second half of last year. She can score, she can distribute, she's a playmaker, but she's not selfish, and she also became a much improved defensive player. She is the complete package. She is the real deal. There were offers for her to go elsewhere for significant money. Villanova being able to hold on to her was a big deal, and she's a building block that they're kind of moving everything else around. But then they went out and were players inside the transfer portal. Kylie Watson, the transfer from Notre Dame. I know she wasn't healthy last year, but Villanova wanted her out of high school, couldn't get her. She went to Oregon. Then they wanted her when she transferred from Oregon, couldn't get her, went to Notre Dame. Helped Notre Dame be a top 10 program. Injury derailed the Irish season, you could argue, last year when Watson wasn't able to go. They didn't look like the same team in any way, shape, or form. Now Watson comes to Villanova. You partner her with Danae Carter, the big, who's finally back healthy after the knee injury she suffered 2 years ago. Villanova's system is known for guards. They love to spread the floor, but you can actually argue it's been at its best when they have big people who can score. Maddie Siegrist, I know she had guard skills, but she had size. Underneath Denise Dillon, her best teams at Drexel, big people that could score. Gabby Marginian's best player in Drexel history. Denise Dillon found her out of nowhere and created her. She's now going to have the opportunity to use the combination of Watson and Carter. That's going to be something special. And then Kelsey Jones comes in from Iowa State. She can shoot the basketball. Denise Dillon says you count the misses rather than the makes, because the makes come with more frequency in practice. In that system, and especially with bigs where they can spread the floor, they can slip, go backdoor, they can shoot from the perimeter, and now they're going to be able to rebound the basketball because they have size. You tell me who consistently outside of UConn and is going to be able to line up and say, we can handle Villanova. They're not going to win every game, but they're going to win enough to get to the NCAA tournament. I think they're going to be really good this year and surprise people.
So do you expect them to be in second place? That's the question I got for you.
I am picking them to be second, but I think at worst case scenario, they are a third place team, and I think the Big East is ready to get 3 teams this year.
So the last 5 tournaments, they have only had 11 bids. So typically it's just the top 2, right, out of the last 5 years that have made it. Is that correct?
4 of the last 5, yes.
So you're saying they're third. So that's
I know. I said at worst they finish third. I think they will finish second, but I think at worst they will finish
you're
third.
telling me they're better than Marquette? You're telling me
I think they will finish better than Marquette, yes.
The Creighton that you just complimented for 15 minutes, they're
clearly better would not fall outside of the top 5, Your Honor. I will refer to
you said Georgetown's going to be better.
There are 2 other teams.
Well, let me explain the Pirates, right? Jada Eads was an all Big East first team last year. Savannah Catalone would have been if she wasn't hurt in the last month of the season. They're coming back. They go get Mariana Valenzuela from Florida State, who Patrick was there. Hit 15 out of 17 3-pointers in a skills competition in front of a packed house at the Welsh Gym. There is so much competition. Villanova has not proven that they have passed the Maddie Siegrist era. They have not. I know it's only been a year, but they have not proved that they can win without Maddie Siegrist there. How can you say that they're guaranteed to be a tournament team? And I'm not saying Seton Hall's a guaranteed tournament team. I would say Marquette's the second team right now. How can you make that statement that they are going dancing in March? You know who also went to the WBIT second round? Seton Hall. They went there too. So you can't use that as an argument, because that'd be the same thing as for them as Seton Hall. For them,
I'm not trying to blast Seton Hall. I love Tony Bazzell, and I think Tony Bazzell has done some really good things. I've enjoyed watching him when he comes on your Pirate Vibes podcast. I love talking to him before doing Big East games in the past. I think he's probably the most entertaining coach in the Big East after the retirement of Harry Peretta. It's him or Gino. It's very close. He's a great storyteller. He's a great coach, by the way. He gets more out of less than arguably anybody in the Big East. I think they're going to be good too. I think they're a top half.
Let's
of
talk
the
about your
Big East
non-conference
team.
then. Let's talk about Villanova's non-conference. Where do you get that marquee victory on the non-conference schedule right now? You don't have it, so you have to be in second because you do not have the resume to boosting wins to be third.
Or you win most of your games. That was the thing that they were able to do under Matty Seacrest. If you go 11-1 in non-conference, you're fine as long as you come in top 3 of the Big East. You can't. Now, what you can't do, and what I don't think they will do, because again, here's the difference between this year's Villanova team and last year's Villanova team. They didn't have a point guard ripped out from under them unexpectedly at the end of the season when it was really too late to replace said point guard, their best player, their leading scorer, the person they built their entire offense behind, Lucy Olson, who's a NBA or WNBA draft pick and is a legitimate stud. She goes to Iowa to essentially fill the Caitlin Clark role. Granted, a homeless person's Caitlin Clark. No disrespect to Lucy, but I think we'd all agree she's not Caitlin Clark. But that was the type of role she was walking into at Iowa. And yeah, you can't fill that void. Now you've had a whole year to build and to kind of plan around. You were able to hold on to your piece. You didn't lose Jasmine Bosco this year, and you've added pieces, really good pieces too. Kylie Watson is an absolute stud. Danae Carter was a borderline high school All-American who goes to the SEC, gets hurt. That's why she ends up back at Villanova. Now she's healthy. Now she looks like herself again. I just think you're underestimating these pieces that they've put in place. And then Denise Dillon, when she has time to figure it out, when she has not had everything kind of shuffled in her face right before the start of the season, she's as good as they come in terms of producing. She won every year she was at Drexel. The last 12 years she was at Drexel, they were either first, second, or once they finished third in the CAA. And then you come here to the Big East and she follows Harry Peretta and they immediately get better. She's just a great coach who now has pieces in place. Yeah, I think that she's going to be able to beat those lesser teams in non-conference. And then if you come in top 3 of the Big East and you have 11 non-conference wins and you are able to not get swept by Marquette and UConn, you're going to get into the NCAA tournament.
I just don't think the non-conference, they have to be the 2 seed in the Big East to get there with that non-conference. Like there is no marquee victory outside unless they go and knock off UConn. If they're one of the 2 teams that you're claiming will beat UConn in the Big East, then they have a case. But with that non-conference, they don't have a marquee victory on that non-conference. And I think that will hold them back unless they're the 2 seed, unless they're the Creighton of last year, where they're beating everyone else outside of UConn and taking care of business, but losing to UConn. That's the only way they're going to get in the tournament with that non-conference schedule. Because I see this conference as being a two-bid league. As sad as I'm saying, I just don't think that the NCAA loves the Big East, especially on the women's basketball side. When it comes
Your
to
Honor?
Yeah.
Whew, this is a tough one, and I have
hold on, Your Honor. I got a little jingle. I got a little jingle to play. It's the home court advantage. So before you make your case. I just want you to have the floor, as this is the ultimate deciding.
Did you just try to butter up the judge by
feel like
playing
that
the
was
beat
bribery.
till you're bringing sexy back? Is that what I
There's nothing. There's no bribery. I'm not offering anything. I just wanted you to have. I just wanted our audience to have their full attention, or you to have their full attention.
I want the audience to know that I'm a neutral arbiter. I said this at the beginning, and though I may be a co-host of the Holy Nova podcast, I will not let that cloud my judgment here in this courtroom. That being said, Cats finished second, go to the tournament. Game over.
That's crazy because he hosts a podcast, but I'll give it
Hold
to
on.
him.
I don't actually think that's the thing that is swaying David White. He was on a lot of women's college basketball staffs over the course of his career before he became a lawyer. David, what was your career record against Denise Dillon at all your stops?
Ooh, that would be
A little to a lot, no?
yeah. 1 or 2 to a lot more.
Man, David, I had a sounder as the producer. I had a whole sounder when you were going to choose me. Now we're never going to debut it. I'm going to have to save that.
Oh man.
Yeah, we could wait for that for a long, long time. He'll be the judge in future episodes. But yeah, we won't hear that sounder at any point. I got a feeling.
Yeah, I'm deleting I'm bringing sexy back. Like,
I'm just going to be dancing to nothing.
All right, Matt. I want all of our viewers to leave a comment below. Tell us if Judge David is incorrect, which he is, and tell us why. But
Counselor, you're out of line.
What's that?
Counselor, you're out of line.
Oh, you're not the judge anymore. You can take off that ring. Yeah, we're in the grocery store together. You're no different than me. But leave a comment below, and you could be featured on our news segment, Matt. Comment of the week.
That's good producing right there. I really very much enjoyed that work from Bryan Webster. As I enjoyed the comment from Joyce White 2568 at our show last week, we asked you on the men's side who would be the most likely multimillionaire inside the league. We were looking for a future pro. Well, I think that you got to give credit to a different point of view, and here it was. Here's my 2 cents on multimillionaire. It's Alex Caravan, not just because he's come back the last 2 seasons, because he wanted to be a first-round pick, not just second round. Alex got his degree in IT in 3 years, is adding business MBA now. He's done some commercials as well. Once his MBA career is over, he's a very cerebral guy, and combine all it and have a very lucrative career, including his leadership on the floor. Alex is set for big things to come. You know what? He's taken the argument very literally of what maybe we were trying to come up with, but he's not wrong there in any way, shape, or form, is he?
Yeah, that's a guaranteed, right? That he's going to be successful. Either he's going to be a millionaire through the NBA or through his MBA, right? Like some BA is going to get him millions of dollars. So I thought that was very creative and a different. We think basketball all the time every time we come on Big East Beat. And this Joyce White was able to come up with a different argument and probably would have been more successful with the corrupt judge, David White, on the bench.
Hey, speaking of the corrupt judge.
Joyce, I appreciate that comment, but it's clearly going to be some guy who doesn't play any minutes. And he owns a hedge fund.
13th guy on the bench, yeah. All right. Hey, speaking of the judge's iffy judgment, if you missed it on our Holy Nova show yesterday, David White unveiled some logic that I still can't quite figure out. Even though the man ruled in my favor, I would like him to give it to our Big East Beat audience and Bryan Webster and see if they think he's as psychotic as I do. Walk me through your hypothetical, David.
Before you disclose this, I just want to let you know we probably should have led with this because I think because I agree with you. I know where this is going, and I agree with you. So,
all I can say is both of you are weak-willed people who can't.
The man says he agrees with you.
I agree with you, Judge.
Me? You agree with me? I take it back. I take it all back. Sarah Strong is going to be the Big East Player of the Year.
I'm telling you right now. Next time we need Patrick, who's also in law, to be our judge because this guy.
Maybe it'll be like the Supreme Court. We'll have a multi-court.
Sorry.
You said Villanova's going to be in. He's host the Villanova podcast. Now I'm thinking about this, probably wasn't the right guy to lead this conversation.
I'm going back. Sarah Strong. She's Big East Player of the Year. I've looked at more research.
Your Honor, give me your hypothetical that we're talking about here.
Okay.
Show the people how crazy you are.
People who are honest with yourselves. Think of your favorite food in the world. Just think of it. I'm going to give you the best version in the world. Utter perfection. But you're also going to get food poisoning. Are you going to eat the food? Yes or no? The answer is yes. Don't listen to Matt Janus. He's a crazy person. The answer is yes.
Brian,
I agree 100%.
Wow.
I agree with 100%
Wow.
because all I can think of growing up in Connecticut is the greatest pizza in the world in New Haven, right? And I love that. I miss that taste. Living down south, there's nothing that comes close to that. I would do that. I would eat that again for food poisoning. without a doubt. 24 hours, like I'll be done with it.
It's just a little belly sickness for.
I probably take a day off from work, so I actually get more relaxation. I can catch up on sports, all that kind of stuff. The kids go to school. The house is quiet. Yeah, I'm taking that all day.
You're gonna sleep for like
Exactly.
12 hours of the day.
I don't think you guys get food poisoning the way the rest of the world gets food poisoning. There's no peace and quiet. There's no sleep. There's no watching TV. There's a north or a south problem, and either one stinks. Like, I don't understand how you guys are okay with that for some good food. And I would also counter, how bad
Not good food.
Cooking?
Stop saying good food. This is the problem. He tries to change it to good food. The best. This is like Jesus has come down and made this food for you. He just made it with some bad chicken.
So that it sounds more like Lucifer to me. I don't sound like a big guy, but okay. But let me just counter with, how about I'll take great food over the best food and not spend the entire night with the porcelain god.
Yeah. You're just insane right now. The best. You'll never taste anything as good.
I asked 50 people about this today, and the only person that agreed with you is
you voted against. I just want to let you know.
The screen.
Well, you should have told me this before we came on. I could have been swayed.
Well, I am an expert lawyer. I have learned from you, David, and from my wife, the attorney, that you always structure your arguments to put your case in the best place. And yeah, we weren't going to talk about that. That went to the back end of the rundown, so it could not sway your judgment. I know where your loyalties lie, and it isn't with me. It's with being, quite frankly, complimented. It's very simple way to your heart.
That's true. That's true. I'm susceptible to bribes. Just not.
Wait a minute. I played sexy back. I cleared the whole thing, and that wasn't good enough. All I had to say is give me food poisoning with great food, and I would have won every argument.
Hey, if you just tell me I'm right,
you would have chose Sarah Strong, who is the best basketball player. Like the Villanova one, I know what you're trying to do. You're catering to your audience, but like Sarah Strong, come on, man. Like that's the one I thought was home run.
I will concede I probably made the worst argument of the night to get things started on the UConn front, but I will also say that I felt like I had food poisoning when he played that bumper music for you. That was just wrong. I was not expecting that in any way, shape, or form. This was a fun show. I think we're going to do this again. I like this bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think we got to go back to men and kind of switches with men, because I think it will get a little heated. I think with the women, I think both of us have who we think. And I think we kind of agree who the top is. I think with the men, we'll argue a little bit more intense, I think.
Yeah, there's definitely more disagreements in terms of the slotting.
Yeah, like Dan Hurley is better than Rick Pitino. Like, well, Shaka Smart is closer to McDermott than what you want to give credit for. But we'll that's another show.
The beauty of this format on the women's basketball side, you can't do traditional predictions. It just doesn't work with Big East basketball. You can slot in everybody else. But again, if you ask 100 people right now, I don't know where you're going to find any of the 100 that aren't going to pick UConn to win the Big East. So you got to think outside the box. We did that, Your Honor. Thank you very much. You are wise beyond your years, and I just really appreciate your service. I know you've always dreamed of being a judge, and you finally got one right. So now I support you.
Hey, I am the arbiter of truth. Come to me with your problems, and I'll tell you where you're wrong. Matt is wrong on food. Eat the food. Do it. Man up. Go sleep for a little bit.
Matt he's so upset over this that he just signed off. He's just done.
Yeah.
So
and he deserved it.
He won and he left. Oh, look who decided to come back. He wins and he leaves. We thought you were just so upset about this food argument, you just took off.
I got so excited to knock my camera out. That is a victory lap that I was taking to knock the camera right out of the computer. Look, I have not ever won an argument with a lawyer, even a fake one like yourself. You got to take time to celebrate those victories.
What really happened is I called his wife my bailiff to put him in contempt and take him out of the room.
Awesome.
All right, good stuff, guys. We'll be back at this again next week. We appreciate everybody being with us. Please like the video, subscribe to the Big East Energy Network. Season is coming up. We're going to have Big East men's and women's basketball coverage all year long. Media Day next week, going to be a big deal. So we're going to have a lot of extracurricular stuff that we can bring you from that. We're going to have more good arguments that we will provide to Judge White. He will continue to side with me, and we can enjoy this all year long. For David White of Holy Nova, Bryan Webster of Pirate Vibes, I'm Matt Janus. This has been Big East Beat.